The Medrash at the beginning of our Parashat Teitze, brings down Ben Azai's teaching that is also taught in Pirkei Avos about the importance of understanding how our lives work, and particularly how our Avodas Hashem works when it comes to mitzvos and averos. An important lesson that is so integral to our Avodas Hashem that particularly now the lesson is important for us to think about as we start in this month of Elul and head towards the Aseret Yemei Tshuva to work on Tshuva. Ben Azai teaches us, based on this week's parasha and the presentation of mitzvos that go one after the next that seemingly have nothing to do with each other, that the idea of Aveira Goreres Aveira and the idea of Mitzvah Goreres Mitzvah is something that is integral to our parasha experience. Just briefly, the Medrash brings down that if Ki Teitze l'melchama lo yivecha, we have Eishes Yifas Toar, and if that happens and you don't listen to exactly the way the Torah teaches us, and one is over an Aveira in that specific example, V'im lo asisa came, Mak siv acharav, what comes right afterwards, Ki yele ish ben soro moda. You have it ready right afterwards, a ben soro moda. As we know, the Gemara teaches us the ben soro moda has not been practically put into use, the halachos haven't been practically put into use and employed, but the idea is that one would lead to the next, one Aveira would lead to the next, and the Ben Azai teaches us that right after that, we read Ki yev chet mishpat mavet. That immediately afterwards we have the idea that, okay, that's leading towards mishpat mavet because of someone sinning. In that case, the psukim are teaching us, simply by their juxtaposition and topics that really have nothing directly connected to each other, that there's this concept of Aveira Goreres Aveira. And the same in our parasha is brought down, starting with Kansipur, sending away the mother bird, all the way then following with building a makkah on top of a new building, a new home. And immediately after that is not planting kilayim. And after that is not lo tachrosh b'shur v'chamor yachdav. And after that, gedilim ta'aseh lecha, says Ben Azai, all of those mitzvahs, one after the next, which seemingly have nothing to do with each other, is that mitzvah goreres mitzvah. And on a very plain level, we already know this concept from our lived experiences. When one has a good day and starts off their day doing mitzvos, the likelihood of those mitzvahs continuing throughout the day and being able to build upon the initial mitzvah is something that we have experience with. And unfortunately, the same holds true as well on a natural level for Averos. When we start doing one Aveira, very often it leads to a next Aveira and may even force our hand in doing the next Aveira and the following after that. In some ways, these concepts of mitzvah goreres mitzvah and aveira goreres aveira are some of the most natural human tendencies that we live with. That our actions lead to the next actions. Not only is acharei ha'pulot nimshachim le'lavod, as the Sefer HaChinuch is often to tell us, it's that our actions actually lead to the next level of actions. On a very basic level, the Bartanura explains exactly this idea. Kach minhago shel olam. This is exactly the way that the world works. A person does one mitzvah and they are likely to continue doing other mitzvahs. And if they start with Averos, it is hard for them to leave and they'll continue. That is something that is obviously on our mind in this month of Elul and obviously on our mind going into the Aseret Yemei Tshuva and Slichos upcoming. It says the Bartanura, one other line in our Mishnah and Pirkei Avos, when Ben Azai tells us not only is mitzvah goreres mitzvah and aveira goreres aveira, but schar mitzvah is a mitzvah and schar aveira is a aveira. The reward, so to speak, of doing a mitzvah is the opportunity to do another mitzvah. And says the Bartanura that that is not just a natural phenomenon as we've been talking about. The idea of being able to do one mitzvah leading to other mitzvahs is because God is interacting with us in that way. There's a supernatural element to this as well. That God's way of giving us a reward for our initial mitzvah is by giving us the opportunity to do yet another mitzvah after that. Rabbeinu Yonah brings down a very interesting analysis of this idea and essentially says it's based on our interaction, our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why is it that one mitzvah will lead to another mitzvah? Yes, it's true that it's natural. Yes, with God's help, it is a supernatural phenomenon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us more opportunities to do mitzvahs. But says Rabbeinu Yonah, it's actually something that's changed within us as well. That there's some sort of shinoi, there's some sort of change that exists inside of our avodas Hashem, inside of who we are, that allows us to have access to the next set of mitzvahs. Al derech mashal, for those who wear glasses or contacts, when you take your contacts or glasses off, if you have as bad of a prescription as I do, it's very hard to see things that are around you. When you put them on, it's as if a whole new world exists in front of you. And on the derech hanimshal, if you've done a mitzvah and you've connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you've built that relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even on a mitzvah kala, a small mitzvah, as Ben Azai teaches us, we should be running after small mitzvahs. After all, mitzvah Goreret mitzvah, that small mitzvah will turn into an avalanche if we allow it to. That all requires our ability to ultimately see the world that's in front of us. Very often when we have a positive outlook, when we're thinking about our mitzvahs and our avodas Hashem, when we're doing well, then we'll see more opportunities that present themselves right in front of us. Opportunities that would have been right there otherwise, but our eyes would simply have missed them. Says Rabbeinu Yonah, that's our opportunity when it comes to growing as Ovdei Hashem. That one mitzvah leads to the next mitzvah because I have become a better version of myself in between each of those mitzvahs. I think that this is not only an important way of looking at our avodas Hashem on a daily basis, but it's what the Rambam means in Hilchos Tshuva, that people require the remez of Tkiyah Shofar on Rosh Hashanah. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Tshuva in Perek Gimel Halacha Daled, there is a remez to the idea of blowing shofar. We've heard this so many times, but I think it's worthwhile to think about it in this context. We should wake up from all of our slumber, not just actual physical slumber. Obviously, we're talking about a broader slumber, a slumber in which we lose track of what we're trying to accomplish. And I dare say that works in both directions. Obviously, when it comes to Aveira, Goreret, Aveira, we can lose track to the snowball effect. We can lose track to the avalanche that may exist over the course of the last 12 months. But we started with something small. We didn't realize it was going to get to where it got. And we've lost control of our ability to just put a halt to it. That's what the shofar is looking to do. The shofar in the month of Elul, and right now, every single day, we have the opportunity to not, you don't have to wait for Rosh Hashanah shofar. You have the opportunity now to consider what cyclical experiences we're having in our avodas Hashem in the negative fashion, and put a stop to it now, to wake up from that cycle and to stop ourselves from continuing down that path. But I dare say they go the other direction as well. When it comes to mitzvahs that we're just doing on rotation simply because we've done them before, we go to shul every single day simply because we did it the day before and we're checking off boxes, those mitzvah Goreret mitzvahs are wonderful that we're continuously doing mitzvahs, but we're missing something if we're just doing them in rotation. If we don't put a stop to those also and wake up to ourselves and understand that our goal is Lashuv El Borachem, as the Rambam continues in that line, that our Zichru Barachim, or remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Shuvah is actually about returning to Him, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu Himself, then both the things that we've done wrong we want to stop and put a change to, and that's what Shuvah is all about, but also the things that we're doing well, we want to reignite with energy and reignite with purpose. As we go into this week's Parashat Teitze with mitzvos and averos going back to back, and Ben Azai's teaching both in Pirkei Avos as well as in the Medrash on our Parasha, we understand that there is a natural and supernatural tendencies to continue down the pathway that we've started, but that Shuvah specifically gives us the opportunity to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to put a halt to those progressions, and to ensure that we are able to restart, reignite any passion we have towards Avodas Hashem, and to do mitzvos better than we've been doing them in the past, and to stop doing averos even though we're going down that pathway earlier. We should be zocheh that this month of Elul and Emir Hashem, the upcoming Aseret Yemei Tshuva, should give us as Dirshu Hashem B'hi Matzo, that we should approach HaKadosh Baruch Hu at a time that He's available to us, which is right now leading up to Aseret Yemei Tshuva, an opportunity for all of us to hear that call, to stop those cycles, and to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with regained energy and regained focus. Shabbat Shalom.